So moving along, the next piece that I have is this sort of backing plate, which is basically holding up all of the light pieces and this sort of a back housing. Now what I want to do is if I go into a front view, you can see I have these nice rounded off corners here, and I want to maintain that. And so sometimes when you do your basic edge control, now I'm going to go ahead and apply this. I've gone ahead and grabbed all of the border edges here. I'm just going to go ahead and right click and use my extrude and find a nice distance here and go ahead and put my Turbosmooth on there. Now one thing that happens when you do this is if you look at it from a front view, you can see that the sides are kind of starting to bow out just a little bit, as well as the top. It's just sort of not maintaining that straight up and down silhouette. And so what I will do is I'll go into the edge mode, and I'll actually just go ahead and throw in a couple extra connect edges. And really all these edges are is just additional support edges along the tops and the sides. And this is going to go ahead and help it to maintain that silhouette, which is going to flatten out those surfaces along the edges. And so now if you look at it in the Turbosmooth, that's gone ahead and flattened out both the top and the sides. And if I zoom in a little bit, you'll see what I'm talking about. They may look a little bit hacky and cut in, but sometimes when you have a curved surface like this, and the edge calculation originally is going from here to here to here, it tends to sort of a bow out. And so adding these little cut edges, support edges to it rather, will help maintain that silhouette a little bit more efficiently and still give you the shape that you're actually looking for. So if I go ahead and exit out of that, and we go ahead and put our Turbosmooth back on, you'll notice that I also still have a handful of basic primitive shapes. I've got a few of these cylinders, just some real basic pieces that I've added in there as sort of like little clamps and pieces for this, what might be where these light pieces kind of come apart. And these are just basic primitives. We've talked a lot about using basic primitives and edge control, and so I'm just going to go ahead and quickly throw down some basic edge control for this stuff, for these cylinders. Go ahead and add some Turbosmooth with some isoline. Grab this cylinder, and this cylinder basically runs all the way up and down, and we'll treat it just like any of the other ones. I'll go ahead and, what I like to do sometimes is I'll go ahead and grab just a quick hit Control A to select all the polygons, and then deselect the ones that I won't need for the cylindrical shape. It's a little bit faster and can help you speed up your workflow just a little bit. So under extrusion height, go ahead and pull that down. Go ahead and just give it just a little bit of extrusion width. Go ahead and hit OK. Turbosmooth and isoline, and that's just a quick cut in for those two basic shapes. And using them as instances, I've gone in originally in my block in and lined everything up and set everything up as instances. And here in the backing of the actual light itself, this is another very simple cylinder. I've gone ahead already as well and deleted out the back face of it. Go ahead and grab that polygon, go ahead and right click extrude, some basic edge control, and then Turbosmooth that as well. Go ahead and pull this back. And now you'll also notice that what I have here for the light itself, which is sort of clamped in and attached to the backing of that plate, the light itself was created exactly like what we talked about earlier with those spherical shapes rather. And it's essentially just a very, very high poly primitive that I just gave a lot of iterations to. And it was more than enough to give me the high poly silhouette that I was looking for. If I go ahead and toggle back and forth with the edge control, you can see that, using just a basic primitive for this specific shape actually maintained it just about as high as I need it to go. So if I want to go ahead and move on to this back box that we have here, it's a very simple shape. Very simple edge control. We can just go ahead and ring select the outside edges along the tops and the bottom. I can go ahead and pinch these in just a bit. Press OK. And do the exact same thing for the opposite ends. Press OK. And then one last little bit of edge control on the edge on the closest for the outside. Now I've gone ahead as well, and as you've noticed, I've gone ahead and deleted out the back sides of them, and I've already got them set up as an instance as well for all the rest of the shapes that are used to make up the backing of that sort of a plating for the back of these lights, and that's going to work out pretty good.